School life. Remember it? Sharing lunches, secretly passing notes, and surviving those surprise tests. We all have 1,000 memories from school. Some are good, some are great, and then there are some that you just can't erase, no matter how hard you try. Today I'm going to tell you one of those stories. The story of an incident that made me the biggest star of the school for a day, or maybe the biggest joke. This is the story of my most embarrassing moment ever. All right, so picture this. I was in the 9th grade. I was an average student, a total disaster at sports. And when it came to confidence, well, let's just say my confidence was on a permanent vacation. Now, in our school, there was one event that everyone, and I mean everyone, waited for all year. The annual day function. It was our school's version of the Oscars. Everyone was desperate to be a part of it. Some were dancing, some were singing, and others were just parading around in weird fancy dress costumes. And me? I was the master of avoidance. I had a severe allergy to the stage. The stare of a crowd felt like 1,000 tiny needles poking me. But as fate would have it, my peaceful, stage-free life was about to be demolished. Our English teacher, Mrs. Davis, a woman who never took no for an answer, announced that our class would be performing a play. And the play was a classic historical drama, the kind of story with kings, queens, and long, boring dialogues. The real bombshell dropped when Mrs. Davis started casting the roles. Her eyes scanned the classroom like a hawk, and then they locked onto me. "Ryan," she said, her voice echoing with finality, "you will play the king. You have that noble, innocent look." Innocent look? Ma'am, that wasn't innocence on my face. It was pure, unfiltered terror. I tried everything to get out of it. I faked stomach aches, sore throats, and even tried to invent a new medical condition called stage frightitis. But Mrs. Davis was a rock. My excuses bounced right off her. So the rehearsals began. Every day, for the last 2 periods, we were dragged to the assembly hall. My lines were so cheesy. "Oh, my dear queen, do not fret, and a king must never break his promise." I'd say these lines, and my friends in the back would be silently dying of laughter. My confidence, which was already low, hit rock bottom. I'd practice in front of the mirror, but instead of a noble king, all I saw was a scared goat being prepped for sacrifice. As the annual day got closer, my anxiety went through the roof. And then came the day we got our costumes. The king's royal attire. Oh man, what a costume it was. It included a shiny silk cloth that was supposed to be a royal tunic, but felt like it could slip off at any moment. Then there was a giant plastic crown that refused to stay balanced on my head. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, was the fake mustache. It looked like someone had glued 2 fuzzy black caterpillars under my nose. And to top it all off, it was stuck to my face with some cheap, smelly glue. The glue had such a strong chemical smell, I was worried I'd pass out from the fumes before I even got on stage. And then it was here, the annual day. The backstage atmosphere was pure chaos. People were frantically memorizing their lines, others were fixing their makeup, and me? I was hiding in a corner, praying for a minor, harmless earthquake that would cancel the show. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would break out of my chest. Mrs. Davis came over. "Ryan, all the best. You'll be great," she said, patting my head, which of course knocked my crown crooked. The play began. The curtains opened. And there it was. The entire school, teachers, students, parents, a sea of faces, all staring directly at me. I delivered my first line. My voice was shaky, but the words came out. I said the second line, then the third. I started to think, hey, I'm actually doing this. Maybe I'm not so bad after all. I was starting to feel a tiny bit confident. Then came the scene where I had to get angry. I had to scream a powerful line. "No! This cannot be!" I gathered all my strength, took a deep breath, and yelled with all the force I had in my lungs. "No!" And in that exact moment, it happened. NMY fake mustache, the one held on by that cheap smelly glue. It couldn't handle the pressure. It flew off my face, soaring through the air like a small, fuzzy UFO, and landed perfectly on the bald head of our principal, Mr. Harrison, who was sitting in the front row. For one long, deafening second, there was absolute silence in the auditorium. You could hear a pin drop. Principal Harrison, now unknowingly wearing a mustache on his head, looked confused. He reached up, His fingers touched the fuzzy object, and he picked it off. He stared at the mustache in his hand, and then he looked up at me on the stage. And then the dam broke. A single giggle erupted from a kid in the back. It was followed by another, then a dozen, and within 10 seconds, the entire auditorium exploded into a tsunami of laughter. I had never heard anything like it. People were falling out of their seats, they were crying, they were slapping their knees. My co-actors on stage completely forgot their characters and were doubled over, howling with laughter. Backstage, I could see Mrs. Davis with her face in her hands. My brain just shut down. I stood there on stage, frozen like a statue, mustacheless. The play was over. The curtains were quickly drawn. For the next 10 minutes, all you could hear was the sound of uncontrollable laughter from the other side. I was escorted backstage. No one said a word to me. They just looked at me, trying their best to suppress their giggles. For the rest of the year, my name wasn't Ryan anymore. I was the Mustache King. People would see me in the hallway and yell, "No!" Even Principal Harrison would get a little smirk on his face whenever he saw me. So, that's my story. The most embarrassing moment of my school life. On that day, I honestly felt like my life was over. How could I ever show my face in school again? But today, when I look back at it, I just laugh. I laugh a lot. Because maybe that's what life is all about. Our most embarrassing moments often become our best stories to tell. What was your most embarrassing moment from school? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this mustache disaster, don't forget to subscribe to Sticky Time, because we've got plenty more stories that will stick with you.